assaulted a woman. But according to the TV, he was the nicest person in the world. Don't know what happened to him. I couldn't care big in less. Now, finally, two things. We all know by experience that this is not only a false image, a promotional video for us to trust the police, to be one with the police, buddy with the police. And so we get into trouble with the police in real life because we let slip things that they then can use against us. I had virtually a fight with a chap outside here on the street. And a member of the public phoned for the police. Because I wasn't going to back down. And this bully boy wasn't going to back down. I was in the right, he was in the wrong. And he knew he was in the wrong. And the police didn't turn up. Never turned up. Because I'm flagged. Because I sued the police. So they flag you. So they didn't turn up. A client of mine was coming up the street. She'd just come off a road. And she asked me what was going on, and I explained to her, and this chap by that time had pigged off. Okay. That's explained, and this woman came across who had phoned the police and said, oh, the police are on the way. I said, no, they won't. They won't be here. And this client of mine said, well, the police are around the corner. There's about a dozen of them stopping cars. Oh, the revenue squad. Round the corner. All right? I said, don't turn up. They won't turn that pigging corner and come up here. Because they got me flagged. And you know I was right. And the woman who'd rung up the police, she came to me the following day and said, did he turn up? No. I told you he wouldn't turn up. She said, oh. I said, they won't. And then some time after, there was a squabble between two junkies up the road. The police turned up en masse. Within minutes from the police station. And again, that happened. Down the road, with some miscreants, police turned up in minutes. But you see, once you are known to take the police on, forget it. Lastly, how many times have we heard this? You've rang the police, 999. All our officers are busy at the moment. All our officers are busy at the moment. Where are they all? All our officers are busy at the moment. And that's all you get. There are occasions, as I say, there's two junkies up here having a go at each other, two girls. And the officers turned up. But that's once in a blue moon. Thirdly and finally, do you know what officers do? You know what officers do, and I've seen this. I've seen this firsthand. You can get a police car going along the road with his sirens on, okay? Belting away there. To an incident. It's been unnecessary for them to have their sirens on. They like to call them blues and twos, fashionable, sell it to us. You know what they're actually doing, these cheeky buggers? They're telling the criminals, bugger off before we get here. We'll put these on so that the criminals know we're coming, they'll bugger off, we've got no paperwork to do. Good officers generally don't do that. It's the bad officers that do. They warn the criminals. And I saw one once and it was hilarious because they put these flashes on because the criminals were on top of this picking roof and the criminals buggered off. And you could hear this police car coming about half a mile away. And they said, oh, police. Off they went. Every time. It's not necessary. If you see a police car going down the road, speeding down the road, and there's no junctions, and there's no cars coming down that picking road, there's no going in and out of cars going down the road, they've got the sirens on. It's not necessary. It's unnecessary. They only need the sirens on if they're going to cross a junction or they need to get past somebody. But on a plain stretch of road where there's no picking cars, there's no need for it. Because they're only there to inform the others there's an emergency. The other car road users. Crafty buggers. Eh? Utterly crafty. And I've seen the buggers as well turn the other way. Look the other way. Just time service. No, I don't trust the police one bit. And I'll give you this bit of advice. If you ever stop by the police, don't say no comment. Because they will turn that sentence that you repeat into an accusation in a criminal court of you being incooperated. Non-cooperation, okay? So what you do are two things. And I've done it. Just two things. Officer, where's the evidence? They're buggered then. Wouldn't you say that? They're buggered. Because you're wanting the evidence. You're not failing to help the police, so therefore they can't misconstrue your words. Simple words. Where's the evidence? All the way through. If they put you in the back of the car, cuff you at the back, where's the evidence? You get to custody suite and they may ask you, where's the evidence? Ask the custody option, where's the evidence? Put you in a cell. Bring you out later. Put you before a desk with officers. Start asking questions. Where's the evidence? I want to see the evidence. That's all you need to say. Evidence. Evidence. And then at some stage, interject the second one. I want a solicitor. So, 2 words. I want the evidence. I want a solicitor. That's all you need to say. Don't fear. Just concentrate the mind on those 2 words. Evidence, solicitor. You see, once they start to say, well, where were you this night and where were you with this night and blah, 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 we are liable to say, well, I was here. And what they're doing is fishing. The point of it all is that if you are accused of something by the police or by a member of the public or by an official of any sort, the first port of call is evidence. Remember, engraft it on your brain. Evidence. Don't budge. Don't get sidetracked. Where's the evidence? I want the evidence. Evidence, 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 evidence. When I go into court, it's a matter of the defendants have not, sir, presented any evidence. Where's the evidence? Or in a court of criminal jurisdiction, Your Honour or your magistrate, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Because you know, when you're in a court of civil liabilities or whatever, everything depends on evidence. So you're only doing what the court is telling you to do, telling us to do. Evidence, evidence, evidence. Stick by it. I want to see the evidence. And I want a solicitor. And you say to the solicitor, I want to see the evidence. You don't discuss anything with the solicitor. All you do is say, oh, they arrested me for, say, throwing a crocodile on the pavement and trampling all over him. Where's the evidence? I must have the evidence. It's hearsay otherwise. Evidence. Please ask the police officers to provide evidence. If they can't provide evidence, then there's no case to answer. Okay, Mr. Solicitor, that's it. I'm not discussing anything. Because once you start discussing things with a solicitor, you can have a bench solicitor. Well, basically, you can have a solicitor who is there time serving. Basically, come in and say, oh, well, yeah, right, you did throw the crocodile on the floor. Well, why don't you just plead guilty? You know, it's only a minor offence. You'll only get a 50 quid or 80 quid fine for littering. No, you don't want to go down that route. I've seen people going down that pigging route and being befriended by the solicitor, and you think the solicitor is supporting you. No, forget it. You do get the odd solicitor who, thankfully, is not a time server and doesn't like the police and will tell you, you know, you didn't do it, did you? Where's the evidence? No. You do get those solicitors. They're good men. They're good men because it all depends on evidence. And as I say, all you say to your solicitor is ask the police for the evidence of the crime that they are telling me I have committed. Evidence. And do you know something? Officers basically will get fed up of you asking them for evidence. They see they're getting nowhere and they have to release you. Which is pointless. All they want is an easy target. Or as they call it, an easy collar. Yeah, that's their terms. You're an easy collar if you admit to anything. Even if you start a conversation with them. You're an easy collar. Evidence. Evidence. When people tell me things, I have to say on occasions, could you back that up with evidence? Either circumstantial evidence or clear evidence for that. Oh, well, I said this, and I don't care what you're saying. Please provide evidence. Maybe just say, this common law freedom of the land business is nonsense. It's a misuse of what used to be practiced in the Middle Ages. It's a misuse, total misuse. Legalese has provided enough armoury for us to use against the courts, the police, corrupt ombudsman, you name it. It's there. And you know, they have to sit up because they bound themselves by their own legalese. If you go into court and you say, I'm freedom of the man and I'm this, I'm that, you're sitting on your oath and all this business, it doesn't wash. What you have to do is to go in and say, right, first of all, evidence. What am I doing here? Where's the evidence? Secondly, when this freedom of the land movement, or freeman of the land, isn't it? Freeman of the land, comes along and they say, well, it's common law. Oh, well, you frigging idiots, why don't you get it right? It's not common law. I stand by common law. Okay, you stand by common law. But you're standing by the law of the system. Common law is the law of the system, you clown. Oh, Father. Common law is judge-made law. It's law that comes out of the courts. It's law that has been reformed and revised over the years. When common law started out as case law, and it continues as case law, there was no such thing as a defence barrister. It was only the prosecution. Now, over time, the solicitors saw and the barristers saw that they could get money out of balancing it up. And so they pressurised the courts by simply going into the courts and defending a person. A person would go to this solicitor or barrister and say, "Can you defend me?" "Well, we don't defend in courts." "Yeah, but can you defend me?" "Oh, yeah, we do that. Such and such, yeah, I'll go in." And all of a sudden, the courts were faced with a defence barrister or solicitor. And over time, they had to put up with this, and not only put up with it in this common law situation, but the common law case then introduced what we have now. That is a defence barrister. It's not one-sided now. This is common law. What the freedom movement miss is the fact that the law that they should be going by is called natural law. That is law that is not judge-made law. It is not law that comes out of the system. It is morals and ethics. And you can plead to a court using its own legalese with natural law of morals and ethics. And morals and ethics is simply this: I'm an honourable man. I'm a precious human being. I am morally responsible and ethically responsible. And once you go into court with that attitude, you can demand and you can say to a court, morally and ethically this is right, and morally and ethically this is wrong. I don't care about what legalese says. Contrary to this, legalese is wrong. And this is what it used to be in the Middle Ages. People would go to court and they would say, morally that's wrong, or ethically that's wrong. And people were fought against by the courts and imprisoned by the courts because of standing on their honour as moral and ethical beings. Bunyan was locked up for freedom of speech. He broke the ban of the Conventicle Act that was brought in by Parliament because the Anglican Church, anti-Christian Anglican Church, wanted freedom of speech curtailed. And so this act was brought about, and he ended up with 12 years in prison. Others were deported, others were whipped, others were turned out of pigging offices. But the men and the women that suffered honourably. And so we have the freedom that we have today because they stood for morals and ethics, doing what is right. Now, I've gone on longer than I should have done, actually. I didn't mean to go on. And you, oh, buddy boy, get out of it, you limelight sausage. So, in all events, only trust yourself, not the police and not others. Okay? Trust yourself. You are valuable beyond price. Examine all things, get evidence for all things, stand morally and ethically and for evidence. And officer, I want evidence. You accused me of this. I want evidence from you to back up what you just said. Well, it doesn't matter if you I don't care if you waffle on. I want evidence. And all you're going to get from me is the request for evidence from you. I need evidence. Because you know, and I know, that what you say is hearsay. Alright? 99% of the time, they pig and leave you alone. They're not going to get anywhere with you. Don't get aggressive. Just ask for evidence. Just ask for evidence. Let's go, Molly. You got me that tea? Yeesh.